All right, and one more, I'll show you just the detail. This is the area around Turner Field. This is Turner right there, and you can see a good picture of that. And there's a sea of 60 to 80 acres of surface parking right adjacent to our central business district. The communities of Summerhill and Peoplestown and Mechanicsville are there, and these are some distressed communities. So I know we're talking about suburban development, but this is really the tool that I'm trying to impart upon you and how we actually use it in the city of Atlanta. That's a beautiful shot. That shows you all the potential in that particular core given its distance to the central business district. This is what the public charrette process came up with, again, in 2006. So the world is a very different place today than it was in 2006. So I tell community folks all the time that just because you say you want a Whole Foods in an area that has a $40,000 household income, it may not bear reality to the market. So that's the job that we're trying to do. And in fact, these are all redevelopment sites that actually are eligible for TAD funding. All right, so numbers, if you can see these, numbers 9, 10, 11, 6, and 8 around the field are all owned by an entity called the Atlanta Fulton County Recreation Authority. So this is an authority that was created specifically for owning the land, and they have a lease agreement with the Atlanta Braves. You can imagine with a fairly bureaucratic political organization holding the land that there's a certain amount of inertia that's just tough to get over. In fact, this year we're getting folks in the room that haven't talked to each other in an amicable way in many, many years, actually since the Olympics. So this is actually a great opportunity in the city, and we're very excited about it. All of those numbers and colors denote uses, but really the key here is that none of this property, the ones I mentioned that are owned by the Rec Authority, are even on the tax rolls. It's a non-tax-paying entity that holds this property. So the second that I can either get the improvements on the tax rolls or transfer that land to someone who does pay taxes, I'm creating value day one. So that's the strategy here, is to walk with the Braves, the Recreation Authority, and private developers to unlock the value. That's good. Another tool that we're talking about, which I plan to use in this area also, and I actually have a couple of projects I want to show you, is the New Markets Tax Credit. Have any of you guys in this audience heard of or used this tool in your job? And I think it's an interesting tool. It has a lot of limitations on it, but we use it in lower income areas that are distressed to provide mezzanine loan dollars. And it's a separate entity from the Atlanta Development Authority, 6-member board of directors, which luckily are not the publicly elected officials, sorry, Mayor, of our municipality, because we couldn't get anything done if we had city council members on our boards. we just couldn't. There's so many different factions and history in the city of Atlanta that I'd be here 10 years later talking about this. But these are the eligible areas for that tool superimposed over the TADs. And what this tells you is that I'm controlling a tool right now that could really help incentivize private development projects in areas that need it the most and have seen a lack of investment for, in some cases, 20, 30 years. One important thing to note is this area right there that just went away is actually our central business district. It's our downtown core. And the West Side TAD was the first one in the city that was established and has been the most successful. And we've attracted several Fortune 500 headquarters to that particular area of downtown. I got $80 million of these things. It's a competitive process. I go to the Department of Treasury every year and say, hey, CDFI fund, if I'm awarded tax allocation authority, this is how I would invest it. This is how I would create value and community benefit for my city. And I got $80 million of it. I've spent about 42 in the last 18 months. And this is a gap financing tool. So I'm probably 15 to 20% of your capital stack. And on a cost to capital basis, I'm about 4% on mezz paper. So think about what you're paying in the market for mezz paper now, if you can even get it. And it's a good savings. It's a great tool. Let's go one more. Talk about a couple of projects. I won't get into the structure. These get complicated really quickly, but I have a contact number on there that if you guys want to talk about how we structure these things, I'd love to talk to you, but in the interest of time, I'll keep it going. But I do want to talk to you about two deals that we've done. Now, this is the first deal that we closed last year. That's actually Hartsfield-Jackson Airport, the runways, actually. So that was a Ford plant that made all of the Tauruses on the eastern coast. And Ford sold this to a developer, Jim Jacoby, good friend of mine, and he has a very ambitious program there, one of which is to serve parking requirements for a new international terminal that we are constructing at what is currently the world's busiest airport and is becoming even busier. That new terminal will be, the parking will be the closest parking to the new international terminal once it's completed. And they envision a 5.5 million square foot mixed-use development that is in an area of South Fulton County that hasn't seen this type of investment other than the airport. And this is the same developer, by the way, that did Atlantic Station, if any of you guys are familiar with that. Great project. One we just closed 2 months ago. When Macy's left our downtown core, they left us in a bind. That building has had a hole in it for 8-9 years now. We actually just did a $12 million mezzanine loan to take the bottom 3 floors that a developer has purchased in a condominium interest in and create about 153,000 square feet of retail, conference space, gallery amenities where they would have exhibits that would travel. And it's a great project, beautifully restored historic asset that I'm pretty proud of being able to participate on. Again, if you have any other information, I got all this stuff on our website, including some of the plans that we've done to actually create these districts. We even put all of our pipeline on there to the extent that it's not proprietary and is at that site called AtlantaEmergingMarkets.com. And then the last slide is just contact information in case I went through this too quickly and you guys want additional information. But thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Tyrone, and thank you for everybody for experiencing this with us. We wanted to make it memorable. Well, we probably added to it a little bit with the presentation style, but as I said, we'll have these on the ULI website. We are running a little late and trying to get back on schedule, so we're going to have kind of hold all questions and answers are going to leave our speakers are going to be available after this. So we're going to take a 5-minute break, switch to our next panel so that we can stay on time. But please help me by giving a hand to all of our panelists and with their information. Thank you.